Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Saturday, September 16th. Over the next few days, we will see decreasing lightning activity across the Great Basin through the weekend. We will see a few isolated storms along the Sierra both today and tomorrow. However, going into next week, we do have a fall cold front dropping south, so we will see increasing precipitation, potentially starting by Monday, along with cooler temperatures and windy conditions. But in the meantime, still warm and dry conditions continue through the weekend. Minimal lightning activity and showers yesterday across the Great Basin, with only lightning over far southern and southeast Utah. And then we had very light initial attack and no real new fires reported across the Great Basin. Over the last 7 to 14 days, again, we've had the wet weather that was a couple of weeks ago, but recently we've seen drier conditions, especially in central and southern Idaho, northern and western Nevada, and a few spots in Utah. ERCs are still below the 50th percentile nearly region-wide. However, where we're seeing the warmer and drier trend over northern and western areas, we're seeing a couple spots up in central Idaho that have perked up above the 50th percentile, but still relatively low and below normal. Looking at some of our ERC charts and some of the drier spots, ERCs again are climbing, approaching normal, may hit normal by this weekend, but then should see a more significant decline going into next week. Similar conditions along the Sierra front and parts of northern and western Nevada. However, grasses are dry, so again, we could see fires perk up during the daytime hours over some of these drier spots of Idaho or even northern or western Nevada. But again, we're looking for minimal spread since winds will be fairly light. Satellite loop from this morning, this is the water vapor loop showing our moisture. You can see the ridge of high pressure across much of the west with very dry conditions. There is an area of low pressure well off the west coast, so it is pushing a little bit of moisture up into northern California and skirting the western side of the Great Basin. So this is where we'll see our isolated or widely scattered showers and thunderstorms in the higher Sierra both today and tomorrow. But we'll likely see greater coverage further west and north into California. So for later today, again, those warm, dry conditions with just a little bit of moisture there on the west side for some afternoon, evening thunderstorms. But they should be fairly slow moving, and we could see some light rainfall with those. Otherwise, low to moderate fire potential will continue. We'll see a little bit more yellow on the map over western and northern Nevada into northern Utah and southern Idaho with these prolonged, drier and warmer conditions. Relative humidity will drop into the teens over most of the area. The only exception will be over the higher terrain of Utah and far eastern Utah and Wyoming, where some of that moisture still lingers today before things really dry out. And then winds will be light region-wide. However, we could see some gusty outflow winds with those thunderstorms in the Sierra. Maximum temperatures today and tomorrow will be near to just above normal, with highs in the 80s to low 90s across much of the Great Basin. Otherwise, winds again remain light. Sunday, again, similar conditions, warm, dry, low to moderate fire potential in some of these drier spots. Still another day of widely scattered showers and thunderstorms along the Sierra. And then continued warm and dry conditions with relative humidity in the teens, with the exception of some of the higher elevations. And again, continued warm temperatures. As we move into Monday, we'll start to see a change. We will have some moisture that is pushed into northern areas of the Great Basin, so we could see some very light shower activity or some isolated thunderstorms over northern Nevada, northern eastern Utah, and up into Idaho and Wyoming. Coverage should be fairly minimal, so we're still looking for, again, that low to moderate fire potential, even increasing in some of our southern areas that have seen more recent showers and thunderstorms. Relative humidity still remaining in the teens with the exception of some of the higher elevations. Winds will start to pick up a little bit up in Idaho with some gusts in the teens, maybe near 20 miles per hour as the main area of low pressure starts to approach from the north, but it's still fairly far away, so we're not really expecting any real strong wind gusts on Monday. Any precipitation over the next few days will be very spotty and light, and again, today and tomorrow just mainly in the Sierra, and then as we get into Monday, we could see a few more of those showers and thunderstorms in other parts of Nevada, Idaho, and eastern Utah. Tuesday is really the first day where this main cold front starts to drop south, so we will see increasing moisture and cooling temperatures in Idaho and Wyoming predominantly. They could dip down into far northern Nevada and northern Utah, so our significant fire potential will be decreasing as this area of low pressure drops south. Also, maximum temperatures will really start to decrease on Tuesday. We'll see highs that were in the 80s and 90s up north, or 70s in the higher elevation, drop about 10 to 15 degrees and drop with highs in the 60s and 70s. And we'll also see some more modest cooling further south on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, as this area of low pressure starts to drop further south, this is where we'll start to see more significant changes in Nevada and Utah, both with moisture, cooling temperatures, but we'll also have an increase in winds going into Tuesday, Wednesday. So we'll be watching parts of Nevada and Utah to see if any of these winds will really be an issue. We have had recent lightning, so it could kick up some holdovers temporarily as the wind picks up before the moisture and the cooler temperatures and higher humidity drop south. And on Wednesday, again, temperatures continue to cool, with temperatures cooling further south. We still have some highs in the low 90s down in far southern Nevada. Otherwise, we'll see temperatures drop into the 70s and 80s in northern Utah and Nevada, and then even highs only in the 50s over parts of Idaho and Wyoming. By Thursday, this low continues to drop south. The models are still evolving with the development of this cold front, but they're coming a little bit more in line with a stronger scenario with more moisture, colder temperatures, and maybe some gustier winds. So again, we'll continue to watch this, especially towards the Tuesday through Friday time period next week. But we are expecting a significant decrease in fire potential, along with, again, the potential for some decent showers and thunderstorms, along with colder temperatures. And by Thursday, we'll see temperatures drop into the 60s for highs over the northern half of Nevada, and again, continued 50s further north, and even see the highs drop below 90 degrees in the far south. By Friday, this low hangs around the Great Basin, so continued cool, wet weather heading into the first day of fall, which is actually Saturday. So on Friday, again, continued cold temperatures with highs only in the 60s and 70s, almost region-wide with the exception of the far south, where we'll see highs in the low 80s. 7-day total precipitation, again, models are coming a little bit better in line with a little bit more precipitation with this storm, along with the cooler temperatures. So it is a fairly strong cold front heading into the early part of fall. So definitely expect precipitation at least over the northern half, if not much of the Great Basin, with the heavier precipitation up into Idaho, Wyoming, and even the northern half of Nevada and Utah. The 8 to 14 day outlook, taking us from September 23rd through the 29th, shows continued cooler conditions. Once this first cold front drops south, this really opens the door for additional storm systems later in the month. So again, more of that moisture up north and colder temperatures region-wide. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back tomorrow for the latest updates.